Once I stopped running from the quiet, I realized something else had been broken too. It wasn't just my life. It was my relationships. The quiet didn't only bring memories of her. It brought faces. People who were still alive, but had learned how to live without me. I saw it in my children first. Not in what they said, but in what they stopped expecting. They didn't ask if I'd be home anymore. They asked what time I'd be leaving again. That one hurt. Because it was true. I saw it in my friendships. Calls that slowly stopped coming. Invitations that turned into updates instead. Not because anyone was angry, but because I had trained them not to rely on me. I showed up physically, but emotionally, I was always somewhere else. For years, I told myself I was doing everything for them, and somehow never noticed how rarely I was actually with them. That realization didn't feel deep or poetic. It felt embarrassing. Like discovering you've been proud of the wrong thing your entire life. My instinct was to explain myself, to justify it, to list everything I carried, everything I handled. But this time, I didn't. Instead, I made calls I had avoided. Sat across from people, without a plan to control the conversation. And I said the words that had always scared me. I wasn't there. I chose work over you. I told myself it was love. I was wrong. Some people listened quietly. Some needed time. And some never came back the way I hoped they would. That part matters. Because changing doesn't guarantee forgiveness. It only guarantees honesty. And honesty hurts. When you've been hiding behind responsibility for decades. I learned something uncomfortable during that time. Being reliable is easy. Being present is not. Presence asks you to sit when you'd rather escape. To listen when you'd rather fix. To stay when there's nothing you can do to make it better. That's what I had avoided my whole life. That's what she was trying to save me from. Now, when someone talks to me, I don't multitask. When someone sits across from me, I don't rush the moment. I don't confuse love with effort anymore. Because I understand now what it costs to learn that lesson too late. If you're listening to this and telling yourself you'll slow down someday, if you keep choosing after this instead of right now, please don't wait for loss to force the lesson on you. Don't let responsibility become your hiding place. Don't let being busy replace being there. Love doesn't need perfection. It needs presence. And if there's anything she left me with in the end, it wasn't just a warning. It was a second chance to become the man I should have been all along. I thought understanding her words would bring peace. It didn't. Understanding brought awareness. And awareness has a way of making silence louder than any noise ever was. When I stopped running from it, I noticed how much of my life had been built to avoid stillness. Deadlines that felt urgent. Schedules that seemed necessary. Excuses that sounded responsible. Take them away, and there was space. Not comfortable space. Restless space. The kind that makes your own skin feel unfamiliar. And then the questions started. Small, relentless questions that won't let you look away. Why does sitting still feel wrong? Why must rest be earned? Why do I only feel valuable when someone needs me? These questions followed me everywhere. In empty grocery aisles, reaching for things she used to pick. On roads I'd driven 1,000 times, without remembering a single turn. In rooms full of people, present outside, absent inside. That's when I admitted it. I hadn't just avoided presence with her. I avoided it everywhere. Being busy wasn't a habit. It was armor. As long as I was useful, I didn't have to ask who I was without a task. Without that noise, I felt naked. Some nights, I almost went back, filling time just to fill it. Calling distraction momentum. Calling productivity purpose. It would have been easy. But her words stayed with me, not as comfort. But wait. Don't keep living like I'm still watching you survive. It wasn't gentle. It was a challenge. So instead of escaping the quiet, I stayed with it. And slowly, I saw more. How much of my life I had paused long before she got sick. Dreams delayed because they seemed impractical. Conversations avoided because they were uncomfortable. Versions of myself I never allowed, because they didn't fit the man I thought I had to be. I wasn't just learning to live without her. I was realizing how little of myself I had truly lived at all. The realization came slowly. Not dramatic. Not neat. Like opening a door you didn't know was there. And stepping into a room you'd lived in for decades. Her sentence wasn't the lesson. It was the doorway. And what waited on the other side wasn't comfort. It was confrontation. Because stopping survival doesn't mean you know how to live. First, you have to face everything you've been hiding from. And that part of the story, the part where you finally meet yourself, without distraction, was still waiting for me. But I didn't know yet what I would have to face next.